Hello Aries! Thank you very much for tuning into this week's read. For the main part of the read, I'm using the Gendron Tarot by Melanie Gendron. Website at the top here is usgamesinc.com. Feel free to check that out if you want to. Supportive oracle cards are Energy Oracle cards by Sandra Ann Taylor. Website on the back here is hayhouseradio.com. Feel free to check that out. If you just do hayhouse.com, I think that works. There's websites on the inside here, if I can find them. Okay, so feel free to freeze frame and check those out if you prefer. Okay. Aries. What do we have for... My first thought is we need to talk about it. We need to talk about it. Yep. Okay, so... It has a lot to do with somebody else and something that's not quite right with this situation. I do feel like you're trying to be as compassionate as you can. So you're making an effort to try to understand the circumstances. I do feel like the way this situation is currently going, it's either out of the norm for you, or it's kind of like, I don't really like a few things about this. I might also look at it in the sense of like, yeah, there's some things I don't like, but it's either not my business to be a part of, or I don't want to end up in the middle of this by saying something like that. Kind of like, I don't want this to become my problem. And if I open my mouth about what I know, it will become my problem, and I don't need that. It's not really my responsibility for what other people are doing. Something like that. Just because I know what's going on doesn't mean I have to own it. And there might be a really good reason for that. Something here isn't right. Something here definitely, like the Ten of Swords is what this seems to be built off of. I'm not happy about something here. And it feels just like that thorn in my side, like I just can never find a way that would resolve it in a way that would work. Like the end result, like I could go forward and just call it out for what it is, but I also realize that that would create a lot of devastation for people who don't deserve it. This is a difficult one. This isn't easy. I feel like this one is not easy. Can we get more details? That's interesting, because Aries is usually right out there about what's going on, but there's a reason. Something here I really don't like that I'm not talking about, but there's a reason for it. That's a lot. If Aries is holding information back like that, there's a really big reason why. We have the Death card and then the Seven of Swords. Somebody's getting away with something. It should have ended the situation. If they were called out for what they did, it would have ended the situation. It would have changed the whole landscape. But for some reason, I feel like I can't. Well, it's not that I can't. I just feel like it's better if I don't. It's not easy. This is not easy. I feel like if this reading is going to hit, it's not easy to feel this way. There's people that I definitely care about, and it's the people that I care about and the outcome that they're going to get because of me saying something that's holding me back. Like if I say something, it's going to hurt people I really care about, and I don't want that to happen. This is really heavy. It seems to be working so far, but it constantly weighs on me. I'm working through it. Okay, so you're working through it. We're going to need to talk about this, though. Working through it. You're doing what you can. You are definitely doing what you can. But there's a change coming up. Did I mention that? I do feel like there's a change coming. So you're going to notice it through action first, and then through like careless conversation. Action and careless conversation. So like you can see like when somebody's like, you can see that somebody, either they're going to repeat what they did before, or you're seeing the lack of interest about how they're acting, and then they just have some careless things they say, which kind of like, oh, it's kind of like you're seeing that they're being careless, and then they say stuff where it's kind of like they're kind of backing that up with their words. It's almost like they're making a joke of something, but you're like, is that really a joke? You know when somebody jokes about something, and you're like, yeah, but are you joking? It's one of those things. But are you really joking? What is going on here with these, whoever this is? I'm going to put in a little bit more depth to this before I show these cards, because Six of Wands and the Magician. Okay, the Six of Wands is success. The Magician is a tricky card. It depends what's going on around it to really decide if it's a good thing or bad thing. Definitely somebody creating what they want. But you got the Hierophant here. Somebody, whoever this person is, you know, I feel like this is the person in question. They're hatching a plan. I think they're going to repeat. I don't know if they're going to repeat exactly what they did before, but they're going to do something in that context again. It's like, you know, if they baked a pie in the past, they're going to bake another pie in the future. Maybe not a cherry pie, but maybe it could be an apple, blueberry, whatever you got going on. Mincemeat, I don't know what you got going on. But you know what I mean? They baked a pie in the past, they're going to bake another one in the future. Maybe not the same pie. And you know, if you really, like, maybe they baked a pie in the past, they're going to do a cobbler in the future, but it's still the same type of thing. You know what I'm saying? It may look a little different, but it's still same type of thing is coming forward. They're hatching a plan. It's when it comes forward, it's gonna make this a lot more complicated. It's definitely gonna. If this happens, because I feel like this is where it's going. How does that affect Aries if this happens? A stream of bad luck, and now I have to think. Now I feel like I'm in a position where when it starts happening again, now I do have to say something, and I got to figure out what I need to do about it. So, the way it's coming, I feel like if this starts repeating, I'm really not happy about it. I feel like it's a bad turn of luck. It's kind of like, I'm looking at it like they had an opportunity to bake another pie, and they shouldn't have, and they took that advantage. Like, there was a need for another pie, and they took full advantage of it. I don't know what we're saying with that, but it doesn't feel like we're actually talking about pies, if you follow what I'm saying. Before it gets there, when you start hearing these, or seeing the lack of interest, you start hearing these, I feel like it's almost like off-color jokes or something. It's time, bring that conversation forward to that person. Because you know what's going on. Bring it forward. Queen of Swords, don't get caught up in the gender. Queen of Swords with the balance, kind of like, we need to talk about what's been going on, what you've been doing, and what I know. They need to know that they're not as covert as they think they are, or they also need to know, even if they already knew that you knew, they need to know that, you know, you're not going to tolerate this a second time. Something like that. I might even impress upon them that I'm having a hard time not putting this out there that this happened. Something along those lines. You need to make impression on this person that, like, you did it once, I'm still struggling with that. If you do this like a second time, I'm not going to tolerate it. That needs to kind of come forward. Something like that. How is that going to go across? No, advice for Aries? Something. Yeah, don't be too, like, try to be accommodating but not accommodating. I don't know how to... that made sense. Try to be helpful but not helpful. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. You have the Empress on its side, which is kind of like, you know, be willing to work with this person, but not if they're not willing to work with you. I think that's what that's saying. But maybe also saying, if they're not willing to work with you, make it clear to them, if you're not going to work with me on this, I'm going to work against you. Yeah. The Nine of Swords reversed is kind of like, give them the impression that you're getting rid of the stress on this situation. This is going to go in a better direction. So if they're not going to work with you, you're going to blow it in. If they are going to work with you, that means that they don't bake any more pies. You did a pie, you made a pie in the past, I'm still bent out of shape about that. If you dare make another pie in the future, that pie is going to get squished in your face. We're using analogies, and it's kind of funny, but it's kind of not. I don't know. Anyway, if you talk about it, the stress is still there, but I feel like somebody's going to have stress. The question is it going to be you or them? Because I feel like we have to do something about this situation. This isn't working. The door to value with the stress, it's all about who ends up with the stress. If you end up with the stress, the door to value is going to open to you kind of like sorting it out. Even though you don't want to do what you have to do, it's kind of like, well, now we have to do it. If you talk about it beforehand, you give them the stress. And then the door to value is like, this is going where it needs to go. There will be more changes. They might blow themselves in. So, for example, I'm going to use the analogy of a cheater. Maybe you know somebody, maybe you have a friend, they cheated on their partner, maybe there's a child involved because of that cheating. You know it's going on there. You're having a hard time not saying anything because they have a whole family going on and it's going to cause a lot of problems. The other child is being taken care of by somebody else, but it still bothers you that the person that they're with doesn't realize that they're with a cheater. But you're like, well, I only think it was a one-time thing and it really bothers me and I know this information. But then you're like, okay, it looks like they're going to cheat again. Or they think they might, like, before this happens again, before we end up with another thing, another situation going on, I'm going to let them know, listen, I'm having a hard time not saying something about that. But if you do that again, I will definitely, if I find out you cheated again, I will definitely say something. Something like that. The reason they may blow themselves in is because it seems to they realize that you don't look at them in a favorable light anymore. And it seems to put pressure on them, and they're kind of like, it's just a matter of time before you say something, is how they're looking at it. So they try to bring it forward before they think you're going to bring it forward. That might be what happens. Which is better if they blow themselves in. That way you don't catch any of the backlash from it. Because you know how you tell people the truth and then they get bent out of shape, I'm just saying. I haven't done that in a couple decades, and I don't plan to. I let people find stuff out on their own. Maybe I make it convenient how they find things out, so maybe I kind of make sure they find out in a certain way, but I make sure I'm not connected to it. That's all I'm saying. They found out the truth, but they don't know that I'm the one who helped it come forward. Maybe I'm a jerk. Maybe I am. I think we're good. I'm going to shut this down here. Thank you for watching. If you'd like a direct reading from me, shoot me an email, jamesforastral@gmail.com. That's James the number 4, astral@gmail.com. If you're interested in the donation information, that's below, same email. Thank you again for watching, and have a great day.